All life is here for its own reason. All life is sacred. All life wants to live. If you can grok with the plant, with the animal, whatever it is, you will understand that. Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
Today we're going to answer a question once more, one we should have answered earlier, I think, and it is the question of whether or not we eat nuts, and if not, why not?
If not, why not? Yeah. Tell us, man.
Well, we have produced a video in the past about eating coconuts and gave our thoughts on that. I'll put a link in the description. But the same really applies to all nuts. Nuts are the seed of a plant. We as fruitarians eat fruit, which is the edible part, the edible flesh that surrounds and protects the seed until it's mature and ready to start growing, not the nut itself. So an almond is a seed, an apricot which has a nut inside or a seed inside which very much resembles the almond is not fruit. The fruit is the apricot around it. The seed inside is not a fruit. The almond is not a fruit. And another reason not to eat them is because if you buy them commercially, they've all been heat treated, which, as we said last week in the video, heat treating any kind of food is not a good thing to be doing. It's not doing anybody any favors.
It's also processed chemically, so it lasts for a long time on the shelf, because even you have it packed in a bags and stuff, there is this tiny insect which can burrow through and make a nice family in there. That's why sometimes people buy the flour with those things inside, those animals, I don't know how they really call, but
weevils or something.
Weevils.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, stuff like this. It's still common that people buy that, and therefore, because it's business, and they want the product last as long as possible, and they put preserving chemicals. They maybe soak it in. I don't know how they do it, but I know they do. And so it can't get rotten, no animal can attack it, and that's what you eat if you buy nuts. Don't believe health food stores or some stories how that was gently opened, those nuts, by some native people somewhere. This is all rubbish to get your money out of your pocket. And nuts are heavy, they contain a lot of oils, and when I used to eat nuts, I didn't have many, and I always felt sick after, since my early childhood.
The last time I really got into nuts was Christmas 2003. I was working at a post office during the Christmas rush in England, this was, and I was doing night shift and being very, very lazy with food, and the nuts were being sold in the supermarket, and I was buying them by like half a kilogram bag and getting through probably nearly half a kilogram of nuts a day, which is an incredible amount of nuts. And I certainly didn't do myself any favors. It took me a while of doing this, but I got very, very sick. That's the last time that I've gotten really sick. I had very bad pneumonia, and I know it was because of the nuts. I was just overdosing. I would come in and I would watch TV. I wouldn't really do much. It was too cold to go outside, and I was either at the post office sorting, or I was at home eating nuts, watching TV or something. So I know that was the reason, and I got incredibly sick from that. And I even knew at the time that I wasn't doing the right thing. But as I've said before, it's addictive. I'm not immune to getting addicted to things. I try to steer clear of things that I can get addicted to, and I don't eat nuts anymore because I know of their addictive nature, and I know that there isn't any instinctive stop.
Well, for me, luckily, my body is so sensitive to unnatural things that it will let me know pretty quickly, especially in the nuts, because they're very, very heavy, and I may eat few, I could really feel already the heaviness. Even I like them, so my body, I was lucky, would stop me to really overdo it. And Nuts, I never really, even for that reason, never really buy them or look for them. Only nuts I would eat were from people's tree. We used to have from Auntie every year walnuts, full big bag. We had hazelnuts from one garden in my village where I was welcome to. That's about it. And when they were out, I may have a one or two there and there. They were also rare in communism. We actually have to travel to East Germany to get them because it's a big thing in Czech Republic again. The Christmas time, everybody makes big boxes of Christmas cookies and shortbreads. And my mom, because my father was sugar addict, she used to make like at least 10 kilo, at least. Maybe even 20 kilo of those cookies. And a lot of them have the nuts in the crush, and you put them in the butter and stuff. So we had, in a certain time of the year, a lot of nuts at home. And I would go and pick one or two there and there, but not more than that.
And it's a very different thing. If you do go to a tree, I think we should have slightly different experiences with this, but I've experienced it definitely where I've gone to a walnut tree and I've picked walnuts off the tree and they don't at all taste like commercially sold walnuts. They're quite milky, and once you eat 2 or 3 of them, there is an instinctive stop. So your body will actually say, no, you can't eat any more of that. I wasn't even aware that they were soaked in chemicals, but it doesn't surprise me. Anyway, if it's a different thing if you've got your own tree and you take some from there. I think they are a survival food. I've said in the past, if suddenly the system breaks down and there's no food around and there's nuts, I would eat nuts. I wouldn't want to eat too many of them, but I would eat nuts if they were from our own trees. Otherwise, I don't think they're a food that we should be eating at all. Even the hard shell that they have, that you need a tool almost to get into. You need to bash them with a rock.
Yeah, they for certain kind of birds and other animals like squirrels and stuff. We share the land with other creatures. The human thing, everything is here for him or her, and that's just another silly thought. We forgot how to share, we forgot to think of others. That's why we think everything just belongs to us and we can do as we please. We're supposed to look after the land, and yet look what's going on. There are a lot of people who really doing good job, and they buy piece of land and making beautiful gardens with a lot of edible gardens. They actually getting popular already for a few years, edible gardens. But unfortunately, the big companies, they're much bigger. They just giant, and they eating the earth alive, you know, like there is no tomorrow. Mining and harvesting and taking out from the soil the life and not putting nothing back.
Yeah, we wage war against the planet, really. We definitely do. Look at the rainforests, they're getting smaller and smaller, everything. We're in the middle of this 6th mass extinction at the moment, where species are dwindling, they're dying out at a rate that's unprecedented, at least for the last few thousand years. It's an incredibly sad state of affairs, how we're destroying everything.
It's true. Putting thumb up like it's so true. This is just the reality, and we have to not close our eyes to reality. We have to really see what's going on and try not to be part of it.
Yeah.
Don't support that kind of behavior.
Boycott wherever you can. Boycott everything that you think that isn't right in this world, try and boycott it. Even boycott living in the towns and cities if you can. Do your utmost to get out of them. I know it's challenging for a lot of people, but yeah, try and do so, because you're not doing the planet any favours by living in a city.
We'll see what's going to happen, but I believe in profits, and the future doesn't look very bright for Earth, but we just have to wait and see what happens. We all have our beliefs, and I honestly don't believe this is going to get better, but that doesn't mean for me that I should change my attitude, because I love life and I don't care how much death is produced around me. Even I am the last living creature, I would still love life more than death, and nobody is going to change that.
Which brings us back to the seeds and the nuts that we're discussing. That is life. Every single acorn contains an oak tree, and we don't want to destroy the oak tree.
And you know, the oak tree is already rare. You know why? Because it's top quality wood. It's so hard, almost it's the one of the hardest woods. And if my ancestors made oak table thousands years ago, I could still have that table today if we could inherit things. And I used to question why I don't have things like that in my life. What happened to those things my ancestors built and made?
Modernization. Everybody started getting a Kia because it was lighter and cheaper, and they could change it every couple of years or every year, so that they were more up to date.
It happened because the media came in and started telling people, this is modern, you know. I seen it. I remember this modernization in the 50s. You can go in a museum to see old things, and they're not so old things people used before. And now we see it like, some people even laugh at it. This was done this way, or ha ha ha, that's funny. But in reality, it was the much better way to live. This modernization and progress going forward constantly, making our lives better and easier, it just doesn't work for us. People are more miserable, people are more lost. Now with computers we're losing real social life, and kids don't know how to write properly by hand and stuff like this.
Progress is destruction, really. It shouldn't be that. I mean, true progress should always involve compassion and empathy towards the planet and others, but it doesn't. Progress, as we know it today, is destructive. It's an evil force.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't eat seeds, we don't eat nuts. Nuts are seeds. We eat only fruit.
And we've said it before, sometimes the seeds are inextricably entwined within the fruit, like a strawberry. You're going to eat the seeds. So
Tomato.
We do eat those. Tomato, kiwi, passion fruit, those kind of fruits. You can't not eat the seed, but the seed benefits from you eating it, because you're not actually destroying the seed. It passes through the digestive tract and it aids in the sprouting of the seed finally when it comes out the other side.
In the garden.
Yeah. There's a bird that lives in the rainforest, which isn't very far from us, called the cassowary bird. It's a big emu-like bird, and there's a plum that it eats called the cassowary plum. And the only way that the cassowary seed can germinate is by passing through the cassowary bird. That's what we're told anyway.
Yes.
So by eating the seed, he's helping the tree to grow, the cassowary plum tree to grow.
Yes, seeds, they're very interesting.
Yeah.
Like some seeds, they last for thousands and thousands of years. I was reading somewhere that they found in Egyptian pyramids some grain seeds, and they were still sprouting. And some seeds here in Australia, maybe other places, I'm sure, in the earth, they have to get through the fire to germinate.
Amazing stuff.
Everything was made somehow. Everything is its own pattern of behavior, and most humans are ignorant to those things. And they would not even consider asking what actually this is, what is it here for, what actually life it has. No, I have life too. Why I was born, me asking, why I'm here for. A lot of people, I don't know why I was born for, or stuff like this.
And a lot of people fall into this trap of asking, why is that plant growing, or why is that animal species there? What purpose does it serve? Everything serves its own purpose.
Yes.
All life is here for its own reason. All life is sacred. All life wants to live. If you can grok with the plant, with the animal, whatever it is, you will understand that. If you can put yourself in that place of that being, because plants and animals are both beings, then you'll understand that. Nothing is there for somebody else. Nothing is purely there to serve humans. That's a very speciesist way to look at things, a human superiority way of looking at things. It's really not how things are. We are just an earthling, the same as everybody else out there. They're all earthlings as well. Anyway, I think we've answered the question.
Yeah, we said more than
enough. We've gone off track.
Out of topic.
Yep.
But that's okay. We
Yep.
just spontaneous. Whatever comes to us, we will share here with you. And because we're not the people who are going to write something and read it for you.
So let's round up for today. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for being here with us. Our family is growing here. We're really happy about it. And we appreciate that. A lot of you appreciate what we have to say. And till next time, take care. Cultivate love in your heart, because love is the most important thing in your life.